Hello and welcome to this video where we have a replay from the presentation from Jason Hommel and Bobby Gray, the founder of TexitCoin. There's lots of great information in the video if you're looking to find a way to generate passive income or earn more money through crypto mining. So sit back and enjoy the video. So let's get it rolling now.
Celebrated our 1-year anniversary, didn't we?
We sure did.
And what that means, for those of you who don't know, is we met just over a year ago, a year and a day or two. That stands out in our minds because we remember the 5th of November. And so we connected, and I invited you to join me on my little journey of sound, honest money. And we met in person after a very long time of not seeing each other. I think you and I first or last met before that in 2009, when we were both in the precious metals manufacturing business. And I invited you to join. And within a day or two, you said, okay, we'll do it. And within a day or two, you said, let's upgrade. We're all in. Let's buy the max. And that was a year ago. And so I'd love to hear more about your journey. I'd love to hear more about what parts of TexitCoin stand out as being important to you. I'd love to hear what you've enjoyed the most. I'd love to hear what you enjoyed the least. What do you think we're struggling with? What are our stumbling blocks and all that stuff? Or maybe you've got your own thing to talk about tonight that doesn't answer any of those questions in any way whatsoever. But it's 6 o'clock, it's Thursday night, and I'm very honored to have you guys sharing your time with us this evening. Thank you to the 140 other people that are on this call as well. No pressure there, guys, no pressure. But please take the floor. I'm going to fade into the background here and tune in and listen to what it is that you'd like to contribute to our Thursday night conversation. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Bobby. We are so honored to be here. Recording in progress. Oh, now it's being recorded. Thank you so much, Bobby, for that introduction. We are so honored to be here. Jennifer, I know you've planned some comments to start us off with an introduction, talking about how Bobby invited us into the project.
Yeah, so Bobby reached out to Jason about a year ago. A year and a few days ago, just like he just said, and had found his number online, and he said, "Hey, is this the Jason Hommel that wrote the Silver Stock Report?" And Jason said, "It is." And he says, "Oh, dude, you're still alive." Jason had kind of shifted his focus from talking about money and gold and silver into the health realm, but we're still very much into honest money. We're silver stackers, never crypto. And so I came home from work that day. I was a corporate recruiter with a company here in Dallas, and I came home from work after a long day, and he said, "You're never going to believe what happened. This guy reached out to me, Bobby Gray. He tried to buy my mint for me many years ago. He said that he started this crypto project. It's based in Texas, and it's called TexitCoin." And I said, "We're doing it. We are totally doing it." That's all I needed to hear, that, he came from a gold and silver background, started cryptocurrency project in Texas, and it was called TexitCoin. And so Jason said, "Sure, we can lose $1,000." And so, but Bobby had also invited us out to the Libertarian Watch Party on election night to watch the election results come in. And we were excited to go. And so we went, we met with him in person, and we learned all about the project and all about TexitCoin and what his plans were for the future of TexitCoin and this project, and how far his vision was for it to go. And so after that meeting, we came home, and Jason said, "Man, I know that we said we were only going to do $1,000, but we got to go all in." He said, I've been into gold and silver and investing in many, many different projects. And he said, "This is just amazing. I've never really seen anything like it. We have to go all in." So the very next day we upgraded to the builder pack, and then we were just off to the races from there. So
that's right.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is that when Bobby invited us out, he started our date night at the election watch party with it was either a Tuesday or a Thursday night call.
It was a Tuesday night
and
call.
we were watching this
In
Tuesday, a miners update call
on Tuesday.
And he was doing it, and I remember two very distinct things. He sounded super confident, and I only understood half of what he was saying. I was like, it all was all Greek to me. This whole crypto thing, and even though I never crypto or guy, I was like, maybe I'm gonna have to learn about crypto because my wife wants to do it, and I guess I'll have to learn a little bit about it. And but I really liked what Bobby was saying, what little I did understand, and he was a lot more patient over dinner. And what really got me, there were two big things that got me into it. And then number one was the fact that he said, we're going to limit the buy-ins to no more than $9,000. And I thought, what a genius move, because I had been involved in silver and mining stocks for such a long time. And whenever they do private placements, they always say, well, we want to have no less than 50,000, no less than 100,000, no less than $250,000 participation for insiders who are buying into deals. And this was like the exact opposite. You mean you have a maximum of 9,000? It was so little. And I said, and I recognized that as being completely the opposite. And I knew first immediately that that was going to be a great thing, because for any rich people who wanted to buy in, they can't buy more hash power than that. That means that if they want to buy in, they have to go buy the coin on the open market, which supports the whole project. So I thought that that was super brilliant, that he was going to do all this extra hard work, but he's like doing everything wrong, but it's even more right than it has ever been, because silver stock companies, while they do raise money quickly and easily by limiting the investment to these high levels or higher, what they fail to do is build a broad base of investors. And what happens is, in the mining world, so when the hold times come off of these private placements, the stock gets dumped on the market and it tanks the whole project. So it's counterproductive in the long run. Number one, that was the thing that got me. The limit to $9,000 mining and no more. That's brilliant, because it builds the network effect. And I talk about that all the time.
But I do want to interject
yes, go ahead.
that while the buy-in was $9,000 maximum, that was the most you could put in of your own money. You can earn much, much more.
That's right.
So Bobby has always been adamant about the people that will succeed the most with TexitCoin are the ones that do the most to help the project grow and to help to grow the community.
And then furthermore, a few months ago, Bobby changed it and said, it will now open it to a $27,000 investment, because there was a programming glitch. And basically, when you come on board with 9,000, you get 3 affiliate tracking centers, and each affiliate tracking center is treated as a person, and each person can buy in for 9,000. And so the way the programmers wrote it was that when you get 3 tracking centers, each is limited to 9. So it's really, you're limited to 27,000 of buy-in.
Right.
Plus right now we have the buy 9, get 2 free. So it's a little bit more than that. But that I was like one of the only people who didn't like that, but it turned out to be great. It's not really a problem for the project at all. The other thing that Bobby said to me way back on that first night that really got to me was the fact that he had these plans to issue a stablecoin layer 2 token on the back of the original network. And I realized that that was going to be a way to really reach the masses through an application that could use a stable token at the point of sale, like a town token or a fair token. And I knew Bobby had experience in doing that with his work with the American Open Currency Standard, which I was familiar with that work. That's why he wanted to buy my mint from me all those years ago. And he was fairly successful with that. And he talked with me about his success at getting currencies up and running. And I thought, this is absolutely brilliant. We have an adult in the room for the first place in the crypto space where he knows how to launch currencies, and he's going to launch a cryptocurrency. It couldn't be a better match. And I was so impressed with his knowledge of both monetary principles and applying that to crypto. I was hooked immediately. I was impressed with his knowledge. I was impressed with his work ethic. I was impressed with his energy levels. I was just impressed on so many ways.
We were even impressed with his miners update call. You know, we coming from the never crypto space, the whole night was pretty much Greek to us. You know, there were so many words and vocabulary things we had no idea, but just the professionalism and the explaining and, you know, encouraging, and I was just impressed right from the beginning. And that's one of the things that a lot of people say, you know, I don't know anything about crypto, I just don't know that I want to get into this. And it's like, you know, join us and you can learn as you go. And that's what I did. We joined, and then immediately I started listening to all of the old Zoom calls. In the resource center portion of our dashboard, there's all the recorded Zoom calls that have been ever since the beginning. And so I would just get in my work vehicle. I had an hour commute through DFW traffic every morning. I would just pick a Zoom call, push play, and go. And so I quickly came up to speed with all the terminology.
Let's get our audience up to speed and
Yeah.
give the very quick elevator pitch like we normally do. Do you want to
Sure.
do that, and then I'll come in on board on top of it?
Sure.
Because what we do at these shows, we go out and we have to get to the point extremely fast, and so we just run over the basics real quick. And so that's the purpose of this call.
Yeah.
So we talked about what we got in, but now let's just from the basics, the TextCoin pitch.
So we're kind of human billboards for TexitCoin. We go to big shows and events. We talk to hundreds and thousands of people, and we just plant as many seeds far and wide. And just never know where they'll go and how they'll germinate. But so basically, when anyone that I talk to about TexitCoin, I just let them know, TexitCoin is a layer 1 digital cryptocurrency. It's very similar to Bitcoin and Litecoin in that it's on its own network. So we are building our mine in Texas. We're crowdsourcing a layer 1 digital crypto mine. It will be a 100 million mega hash mine. Currently, we're about 18% of our way to our goal. So we would love for you to join with us.
Can I jump in and share a few things? I like to say we're a brand new cryptocurrency. We've been around for about a year and a half, just over a year and a half now. I guess we're in week 84. That was what Bobby said. The data changes all the time. Our market cap is around 250 to 300 million. Our price is around $4 to $5, towards the $5 range right now. But what's really interesting is that we have a stair-step up plan where the currency price of our cryptocurrency, which is really a crypto money, has been going up in price from about 10 cents to around $5 today, going up at about 40% per month from the very beginning. It's got a good 1-year track record now of doing that. How many investments do you know that have that wonderful track record? And it's projected to do that in the future. No guarantees, of course, but that's the plan, just like it was the plan from the beginning, to do that on into the future for the next, say, 6 months in a row. And that usually catches people's attention.
And it's technically not an investment. It's an opportunity. So it is cryptocurrency. All crypto is risky. So you should never put in more than you are willing to risk or able to risk. Whenever we joined the project, like Jason said, sure, we can lose $1,000.
We can afford to lose. I was like, if we can afford to lose $1,000 and not wince too bad, I mean, it would be a wince, but it's a learning experience too. But I figured we should be able to afford to lose it all.
Right.
Never invest more or put anything into anything more than you can afford to lose. But this has been a fantastic journey for us. It's helped us in so many ways.
So by February, I was able to leave my job as a corporate recruiter and come on and share about TexitCoin full time. And what that has done is it's freed up our time that we're able to also share our copper revolution and our health information more as well. And so the two have just really gone well together. And it's just having the time freedom to make your own choices and be healthy and productive at the same time. It's just been really amazing for us.
It has been amazing. We have made a lot of money. We don't like to say how much, and we won't, just for privacy's sake. The main thing is that when I came on board, I started writing it right away. I wrote my first article about it within a week. I just read the website, poured my head into it, and I tried to summarize everything. And I've written about 15 articles since then. And as I write articles, I learn more. So then as I learn more, I write a new article. But a lot of the articles are the same. One of my most groundbreaking articles, I feel, is an article where I wrote Bitcoin has 24 monetary properties superior to gold. And that really surprised myself. I had been compiling a list. First it was 7, then it was 10, then it was 13. And now I've got all the way up to 24 ways that Bitcoin is better than gold. And I try to examine ways gold is better than Bitcoin. And there's really only one, and that it would be the trading history, the 5,000 or 6,000 year trading history. And that was really shocking to me. I'll recount my biggest mistakes in dismissing Bitcoin in the very beginning was that I was not convinced that an electronic money could really have the properties of gold. I did not believe their scarcity argument was valid. I thought, well, if anybody can make a new cryptocurrency, then there's no true scarcity. And here's what I failed to understand. There are many paper currencies in the world, for example, the Mexican peso, and the existence of the Mexican peso or even the Venezuelan currency or Congo currency that gets highly inflated, that doesn't take anything away from the dollar. In fact, sometimes those other nations, because of the worse inflation over there, they'll want to hold more dollars, and so it therefore helps the dollar. Likewise, the existence of other cryptocurrencies takes nothing away from Bitcoin, but might even help Bitcoin because people will sell those other cryptocurrencies and take their profits and go back in and hold more Bitcoin. So it's kind of funny that way. I didn't really look at it that way, but really the existence of all the scam cryptocurrencies out there should take nothing away from Bitcoin, nor does it take anything away from TexitCoin. But rather, Bitcoin only really has to fear somebody who comes along and does a cryptocurrency that's better. And in some ways, our TexitCoin is better. It's designed better from the very beginning by Bobby Gray, who's a real monetary architect and a guy who really understands getting currencies off the ground. He's done a lot more study and practical experience of that than I have, and I really respect that about him. So what Bobby has done is he's created TexitCoin with a limited mine size. And that's the problem with Bitcoin, is that the unlimited mine size is like cancerous growth. Growth is not always better. Bigger is not always better. Bigger comes with it legacy costs, and all the computers that are mining Bitcoin, that's a cost. It has to get paid for somehow. And the amount of that cost is so big, it's half of 1% of the world's electricity every year, and it's $10 billion a year worth of electricity. And ultimately, that has to translate into higher fees to get on the blockchain. And so Bitcoin has a fee problem that's not going away, but it's only going to get worse as time goes on. And that's why Bitcoin will never be used for small transactions. You can never, if it costs $2 to $5 to get on the blockchain, you would never use Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee. And that's a strong mark against Bitcoin, and it's just going to get worse. So in contrast, Bobby's plan is to build a 100 million mega hash mine, and I'll say it in several different ways, spending $100 million on mining infrastructure with much smaller electrical costs, which translates into smaller transaction fees. Smaller transaction fees means that ours will be like a digital silver or the workhorse money, which can do a lot more monetary features and benefits that way, which can translate into more monetary demand, ultimately, long term. And in fact, the layer 2 tokens, which will run on the back of the backbone that we're building right now, layer 2 stable tokens will also have lower fees, which will mean that they will be far better than, let's say, Visa MasterCard's 3% fees. And we have competitive advantages all over this thing. And that was what really impressed me about the project, is that Bobby has designed it from the ground up to be intelligently used as a currency. What we're really creating here is not just money, but a superior form of money. And that is really exciting.
It's really exciting. Yeah. So, Bobby, do you have anything that you want to add or interject
or ask?
I've been over here answering questions in the chat. I think that everything that you said is good. It's always fun to hear, our story from your perspective. Which points stand out to you. I don't think you spent enough time tooting your horn, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's really important to remind people that this project was forged from our passion for honest money. And, it's not our fault that we didn't have crypto back in the early 2000s. It's not our fault that when Bitcoin popped onto the scene in 2008, the same year that I was starting the open currency standard, like, we didn't know about it. It was unproven. It was untested. It was, too early, even at 2012, when, some of the world started to hear about it. Like, it's not our fault. And we need to remind ourselves, not just, the 221 people on this call, but remind ourselves that, we spent dozens of years working towards an honest monetary system. And, when I got into it in 2008, I would quote about how the dollar's lost 95% of its purchasing power in the last 100 years. We're coming up on the 100-year anniversary of the Federal Reserve. Look how far it's slid since then. Look what has happened to the dollar since then. And the dollar is shrouded in secrecy. We don't know who makes them, who gets them. We hear about things like quantitative easing. We hear about things like, cash injections into capital markets, bond purchases from the Federal Reserve, but we don't really know. We've never had a monetary system that has given us as much insight as to the creation of a currency and who gets to like be first to have dibs on that currency like we've got with crypto. And so, so we have to remember that the way we got here is through our passion for honest money. And it's really tough to get people excited about honest money because nobody wants to hear the, 500-page long Creature from Jekyll Island monetary history. They want to hear about how they can get rich with crypto. That's why the years go up. That's why people start to pay attention. Wait a minute. You've got a crypto? Is it real? Is it a rug pull? Is it a meme coin? And is it a pump? Like tell me it's not all the things that all the other things are, and I'll pay attention. But at the foundation of this, the reason this project has legs, the reason this project is able to keep pushing forward is because the mission is about honest money. And the form that it's taken, thanks to the really great high-tech digital tools we now have access to, is something that you and I would have never looked at or taken seriously ever. But I think what's important is that when you take our passion for real good money, money that satisfies the traits that you pointed out that I learned from you, when you take an honest monetary system like crypto and you take our passion and drive for seeing that successfully implemented, whether it's in a local town or it's, in a state or a country or taking place globally, that's what drives this thing forward. And, I stepped away from the computer for a minute, so I don't know if you mentioned it, but, I learned about the fundamental properties of good money from you. The reason I looked you up back a year ago was because I've been quoting your articles over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, I should probably get permission from this guy, or at least see if he's dead. Maybe he's dead and I didn't just like write it off to, Creative Commons license or something at this point. But Jason Hummel is not dead. Jason Hommel instead is fighting as an advocate for honesty in things like medicine and health and wellness, which is, a very similar but extremely different topic from what you and I were passionate about, 20 years ago. And so, you really need to spend more time reminding people that good money is going to be a good store of value. It's going to be a good medium of exchange. It's going to be a good unit of account. Because these are the principles that have created the foundation for what we're talking about today. I didn't start TexitCoin to get rich quick. I've already had money. I've made lots of money over the years. I traveled the world. I homeschooled my family. We have lived in Singapore. We ski in the Alps for our holiday vacations. We go to the World Fair of Money in Berlin and, train ride all throughout. Like we've done it. So we're not here to make a quick buck. We're here because I believe, and I think I was able to convince you that crypto actually gives us a real shot at succeeding in that mission. And we got there because of the fundamental properties of good money, how bad money will continue to slide down in value over time. Some places, like you mentioned, Zimbabwe, they'll see hyperinflation, and next thing you know, there's a $100 trillion banknote out there. But places like the US, we're doing a better job than other, third world countries at holding our paper fiat currency together. But all these things eventually go to zero. And so now today, what have we lost? 98, 99% of the dollar? People always say, like, well, when's the dollar going to collapse? When's the dollar going to fail? How much more can something fail before you finally say, okay, it's time to put the final nail in the coffin on that one? So it's really important, and it's extremely boring to remind people that we're here because money matters. When we're dealing with each other, we can either do it through honest trade or we can do it with clubs and bats and guns. Which one do you want? Do you want to live in a civilized society where we trade with each other Or do you want to live in a society like, other places around the world where they have to, you know, fight and pillage and plunder and steal to get basic essentials for life? And that question lies at the utmost basic premise of what we're doing. We believe the money should be honest. And we believe that money that's for the people, by the people, like we've had for thousands of years with gold and silver, is the best way to get there. Is it perfect? No. Is it better than some rich guy having control of the money printer and giving it out to his buddies whenever he wants at whatever rate he pleases? Like, yeah, it's a more accountable monetary system. And so, that's really what's at the heart of our project. And again, it's not glamorous stuff. It's not something that you're going to get people's attention with. I'm actually pleased to see that there are more people on this call now than less people, even as we get into something as boring as monetary policy. But I want to remind the people that are on this call that you are an expert when it comes to the values, the fundamentals, the traits, the properties of good money. I learned most of the things that I know about that from you. You were highly involved with Texas Congressman Ron Paul, maybe even was the guy that talked him in to run for president back in the day. People want to know where this project began. What's the origin story, not of Jason, Jennifer, and Bobby, but of what lit that spark 10, 15, 20 years ago that has led us to where we are today with this extremely successful project. It's just what happens when hard work meets opportunity. And it took me a dozen years to see it. You saw it with my help in a much shorter timeline. But you might also recall that when we started our relationship, I hired you to go out as a researcher and find all the holes and either identify them and point them out so I can plug them, or decide that crypto and TexitCoin is a scam after all, and you need to head for the hills. It's the passion for honesty that has paved the way for us to do what we've done. It's the commitment to being transparent that has created a bit of a following for that. I don't think it's for me. I think it's for just something real. Like, you scroll through your social media today, how much of it is real? You have no idea. I don't believe any of the stuff that I see anymore, but I know that I knew you for a very long time, and I know the work that you did, and you know the work that I did. And here we are, 15, 20 years later, pursuing the same goals, working towards the same ends, with the same commitment, the same energy, the same passion that we've had this whole time. And that's what makes this call tonight great. That's what makes the bedrock foundation of TexitCoin really unique, because it is born not from a money grab, not from a bunch of guys that heard crypto was a cool place to get rich and all the kids were doing it, but as a continuation of our life's work. You, with the pursuit of truth and knowledge, and taking these complex ideas and making them into digestible bite-sized chunks that normal people can understand. I remember reading an article that you wrote talking about the price of silver at different places compared to a guy that was selling pizza on the side of the road for $2 a slice. And you go in and you go, hey, how come the guy across the street's charging a dollar a slice? Why are you charging two? Like, well, I'd give my pizza away for free if I didn't have any. Just little stuff like that. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about.
I do remember exactly what you're talking about. That sometimes people will, sell things at different prices, or people, what will a bum on the street give you for an ounce of silver? And it doesn't matter, because you're not going to be selling your silver to the bum on the street. You're going to be selling it to a reputable bullion dealer. Likewise, there will be two sausage merchants across the street from each other. One will have his price, and the other guy has a low price, but the guy with the low price, he's sold out. So his price doesn't matter if he's sold out and has nothing to sell. Price is not the price, and market manipulation doesn't work. One of the big things, you and I saw some things together, and we found that basically at the essential core of it, silver and gold are not very popular. You tried as hard as you could in the silver and gold world. I tried as hard as I could for, 15 to almost 20 years in the silver and gold world, and it wasn't popular enough. And what really surprises me and gets me so enthused by this cryptocurrency project of yours, this TexitCoin, is that it's wildly popular. How did you do that? You're
Yeah.
tapping into there's something out there that people love about cryptocurrency that like the little mining stocks, they could never get more than 2,000, 3,000 people to invest in the best of the best mining stocks, whether it was Mines Management or something like Canadian Zinc. But yet, well, you've already got now almost 50,000 people in TexitCoin in a year and a half, and it's not even a bull market in Bitcoin right now. How did you do that? This is amazing.
That's an easy answer, but
Grassroots.
Go back for a second and think about how hard it is trying to sell a commodity. When you're selling something, I always used to um, get challenged by people that say, "Why are you charging $5 over market price for your silver coin? I mean, that's unreasonable. I can buy it from these guys at $2 and these guys at $3." And I'm like, how many people go into Walmart and grab a t-shirt off the shelf and say, "This is clearly only 35 or 40 cents worth of cotton. Why are they selling this t-shirt for $10?" Like, you don't look at the seigniorage, the price that they charge above the intrinsic value of the material in anything else except for commodities. So when you're buying commodities or you're selling commodities, you're always up against this index price. And so what we do is we try to make our silver extra shiny, or we try to make our gold have a really cool design on it. We try to build a story into the artwork that's on the coin in hopes that we can get this higher seigniorage, in hopes that we can get a little bit more for this than the basic value of the commodity itself. And it's hard. And so yeah, you're squeaking out those $1 profits, and it's really hard to run a business when you're running on a dollar profit. Think about it, right? If you're selling a silver coin, silver is, let's say, $20 an ounce, and you're charging a $2 markup and you're making 10% if you're lucky, how can you run a business that has all this big power and all this heavy duty manufacturing equipment, specialized tooling for a 10% margin? God forbid a shipment gets lost in the mail, or somebody walks out with a handful of or a pocket full of coins they shouldn't be taking. If anything goes wrong, you're out of business. And we've seen so many companies come and go. My company went out of business. Your company went out of business. Almost everybody in the precious metals world goes out of business. And that's because it's just not profitable. And it's a really sad thing because somebody's got to make the coins. But when you're selling a commodity that you're really working hard to make it profitable, it's tough. And so cryptocurrency creates this whole new dynamic where people are getting involved in cryptocurrency not because of the commodity value of the zeros and ones, but because of the chance or the likelihood for it to go up in value. Now, you can look at this two ways. You can look at it from an investment, or you can look at it from a speculative nature. You can look at it from a gambling perspective. You can look at it as a lottery ticket. And there's a lot of that's built into TexitCoin because, of course, I want to get rich. I want you guys to get rich. I want 236 people on this call to get rich. But that's not actually what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is your money. If your money is good, your money holds its value or tends to go up in value over time, not by virtue of the fact that it's a lottery ticket, but because good money should hold its value and go up in value over time. Think about the story that we always share about the ounce of gold. An ounce of gold 2,000 years ago in ancient Rome bought you a nice toga, a belt, and a pair of sandals. And that same ounce of gold today buys you a suit, a pair of shoes, and a belt. But that's not really true, because an ounce of gold today is $4,000, and I can get a nice suit for $1,000, and I can get a nice belt for $50, and I can get a nice pair of shoes for $200 or $300. So I can buy 2 suits, 10 pairs of shoes, and 20 belts with that same ounce of gold. And so you're saying, well, geez, my money's really gone up in value, and it's not exactly true either. What's happened is the cost of production has gone down. Think about it. That toga, that belt, those sandals, they were all handmade, 2,000 years ago. We didn't have, the production efficiency of mass market manufacturing that we have today. And so if you think about, okay, we've got a monetary system that's deflationary. It actually reduces the amount of TexitCoin produced every 6 years or so. We're going to make less TexitCoin. So we've we've built this monetary system that automatically becomes more valuable over time. That's the Bitcoin scarcity argument, right? And that's usually all they have to point to its value. We understand a lot more about the market and how people using the currency is actually what really gives it the real core value. But the point is that money, if your money doesn't get artificially inflated over time, then the price of things in the marketplace should gradually creep down. I'm not saying they're going to get cut in half every week, but I'm saying that the money should go further because technology continues to improve. Think about it, right? Would you rather be the richest man in the world 100 years ago or alive today with hot water and a running toilet and an iPhone and all the world's knowledge in the palm of your hand? Like, we've got a lot more today than we had 100 years ago, even if you were the richest man alive. So the point is that this is what happens with good money. Okay. And so now we're not introducing a commodity. We're introducing a chance to be part of an economic system that, because it's good money, is going to go further over time, is going to become more valuable over time because of the basic settings of the network and how many coins it produces every day and who gets those coins. So we've got a good monetary system. And so this is what people want to be a part of. Whether they know it or not, what they're joining is an economic system that's rooted in these basic principles of honest money. The thing that they hear is crypto, and we understand crypto can go from, fractions of a penny all the way up to hundreds of thousands of dollars per coin. And so that's what gets their attention. That's the, maybe the clickbait you'd call it, or that's the hook. And what we're selling people is the idea that we can actually establish this honest monetary system, kind of redo what Bitcoin once held in its hand, what they let slip through their fingers. We can do it because we actually have a commitment to honest money and not to just getting rich and selling out. That's what we're selling. That's an attractive thing. And so you go through the red flags and the green flags of TexitCoin. We know who the people are involved. We know that it's a real project. We use receipts and proof to demonstrate the success or struggle of our work. And so we're giving people kind of this crusade that for $1,000 you can participate in. You don't have to do anything else if you don't want to. You can get involved, or you can just buy a handful of coins on the open market and help support our mission as well. But the mission is honest money. And the idea is that, if you jump on this rocket ship and we're right, together we're successful, we can actually change the world. Think about the impact that Bitcoin has already had. Every state house in the world is talking about Bitcoin. That's the impact that it's had. And it's still just a tiny blip on the global financial system radar. And so if we take that power, that momentum, that excitement, that passion, that community, and we show them how the Bitcoin bros kind of sold out with the Lambos and the hypercars and, the excitement, but we're going to pick up where they left off and follow through. That is a real shot, not just at the very top of the cryptocurrency, index, but it's a real shot at actually getting people to wake up and say, hey, it's time for us to have a better money system. And this crypto thing seems like it has all the tools that we need, the transparency, the decentralization, for us to actually have a usable, worthwhile system. Anyway, that's what we're selling.
Your comments have triggered something in me that's going to knock your socks off when you hear the argument. Now, you talked about gold being worth suits, right? But historically, gold was worth a suit of armor, which was more like $50,000 worth, or an entire year's salary, which again is more like $50,000 worth. And why is it only $4,000 worth? And here's the big clincher. The reason why gold has lost so much of its value is that it's no longer used as a medium of exchange. And so the medium of exchange is one of the three pillars of money: the unit of account, store value, medium of exchange. That medium of exchange demand is absolutely massive. And I want you to consider the total value of the gold market right now. World gold market right now is around, say, 25 trillion. The world gold value, or the world market for US dollars, is probably only, say, 40 trillion. So it's only about triple. But if gold was at its right value, there would really be 10 times more money than the world in the world today. We're actually all starving for money under our paper money system. It's absolutely awful. So imagine if the 25 trillion gold market were 10 times as big, or or even bigger. There would be a lot more money in the world. But you're creating a cryptocurrency here, TexitCoin, to do the job of money, to do the job of a circulating currency. And you're going to have these layer twos on the back of it, circulating currency. That is going to drive the price up of TexitCoin so much because of monetary demand. It's a huge
Not
pillar.
about the price, my friend. I try to remind everyone, don't worry about the price. The price is the byproduct and the result of our good work. If we're successful, if we follow through, if we do what we say we're going to do, the price is going to be ridiculous, right?
Ridiculous.
People will get rich. Some of the people are tourists. They'll cash out. They'll get their houses and their cars, and they'll pay off their debt, and we want that for them, right? But we're going to have our Bitcoin moment at some point. Bitcoin had it in 2017 when the price spiked and the transaction fees didn't change. It made it impossible for the marketplace to use Bitcoin as money. All they had to do was go tweak, 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 increase the block size, change the fee structure, and they would have had it. They would have had it. They were right there, and they had a big falling out in the community. This is, probably a little bit before you guys were paying attention to crypto, but there was a big discussion, a big debate, and the community kind of split in half. One half said we're making a ton of money off transaction fees and mining fees. And the other part of the community said, that's not what this thing was supposed to be about. This thing wasn't supposed to be a digital gold. This thing is supposed to be money. And we can't use it as money if it's too slow and if it's too expensive to buy a cup of coffee with it. They lost it. They had it. They were right there, but they didn't understand it. And they didn't understand how big this money market is. You look at the different markets. Well, should we make a cryptocurrency to do sports betting or to stockpile medical records or do, vote, authenticity? Yeah, let's do all those things. But let's not lose focus of the biggest market of all, and that's the marketplace. Somebody's got to be the money. Bitcoin almost had it. They had it, but they let it go. Now, Bitcoin's 100 times bigger than it was back then, which is great. So all this awareness and all this goodwill and all this kind of thawing of the Bitcoin kind of conspiracy, dark web, gray market, black market stuff, like banks are starting to open up to it. We've got intermediaries now. Like we just found a new one. I don't know if you've heard about this yet with Strike.me. And
Yes.
Strike.me is interesting because that's what the big miners use, because the big miners are settling out their electric bills every day, because their bills are $100,000 a day. So the electric provider doesn't want to wait till the end of the month to see if you're going to default on a $3 million power bill. So they're getting paid every day. But the miners are mining in Bitcoin. So the miners mine the Bitcoin to this Strike account, and then the electrical provider comes in and grabs little chunks of it all throughout the day to keep themselves getting paid. So this is a great service. We're going to need to have these connections between worlds old and new. And so there are going to be businesses out there in the intermediary space. There are going to be businesses out there in the lending space. There are going to be businesses out there in the DeFi crypto conversion space. There's going to be all kinds of businesses doing all kinds of things in this ecosystem to provide valuable services to the marketplace. But we're the guys that are going to do the money. We're the guys that are going to change the network settings if we need to. If we realize, TexitCoin is now $100,000, per TXC. It's time to change the fee structure. It's time to increase the block size. Let's make this thing faster so it works better as money. And it's that commitment that means that as this thing grows, as this thing scales, we won't forget our original intent and purpose, and that's honest money. It's the foundation we laid early on with the work that you did, the work that I did, testifying in Congress, open currency standard, the articles that you wrote. I want the 241 people that are on this call now to know that that's the leadership that we have here. That's the makeup, that's the philosophy and character of the people that have been in this thing for a long time. You've been around more than a year. I've been around for a while here as well. But that's what we care about. And yeah, the money's going to be great. Watching the price jump and drop and jump and drop is fun and it's entertaining. And you can get a little ticker now to put on your desk to watch the price go like this. But remember, at the core of this whole thing is taking our passion for honest money. Remember, Ron Paul said that we have a moral responsibility to spread the message of freedom and liberty and property with our friends all over the world. That's where this thing began. That's what's driving it forward. That's what powers me through it day in and day out. Hey, we got hacked. Oh, what, should I quit? Did my rug pull disappear? No, this was never about easy money. It was always about honest money. That's what brought us together a little over a year ago. That's what keeps us going. And that's what we're selling. We're selling to our friends. We're inviting them to join us in this journey. And we've broken it down into phases. We have to build a mine. The mine is the trust. The mine is the backbone. The mine is the decentralized ledger. The mine is the proof of work. Other guys have tried to do it. We're the guys that are actually doing it. It's hard. It's not easy. I know why those other guys failed.
But I'm very impressed, Bobby. Good job.
The question is, who wants to come along with that journey to build the mine? If you want to join us for the journey, if you're willing and comfortable to put a little bit of cash down on the table, to take a risk, to take that leap of faith, if you want to come with us for the journey, put the $1,000 down, dip a toe in the water. If you don't have $1,000, go grab $10 worth of coins on the open market. If you bought $10 of Bitcoin back when it was $5, you wouldn't be real disappointed today. Take a educated and reasonable leap of faith. Join us on our journey. Have a great time with us, and let's change the world. It's a lofty goal, but someone's going to do it. And why not have it be us? Look at what Ron Paul did. Look at what one guy did, just talking about economics. You know, he lit up the fire in the hearts of people all over the world. And that message of freedom and liberty spread to 1,000 different causes. You know, it created so many different iterations of that same idea. We're the guys that are going to keep working on honest money. And we're not going to give up, regardless of how tough it is, regardless of whether the market's up or down, regardless of whether we beat last week's numbers by 10% or not. When you have that as your guiding light, the energy is almost unlimited, and you know, you don't really worry about the day-to-day fluctuations because you know where you're going and you know how to get there. And that's what I've said. Some people, invite them onto our little rocket ship here. If we build this mine, if we build this world-class mine using state-of-the-art equipment, using the best technology that everybody else is able to use, if we build this mine, we'll have a top 100 coin. We're a couple steps away from there right now. We could have it in just a couple months. What do we do with it then? That part comes later. Phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. There's a lot that we can do with a powerful network, with a great, passionate community, with pockets full of resources to keep driving forth this story, to have this conversation with people, whether it's down the street in our town or all over the country through fairs and festivals. It's the same work that we've done for years and years. Now we just build ourselves a digital currency rocket ship, and it's worked. And it's because great people like yourselves see the vision, connect with it, and take that little leap of faith. Risk and trust is how we got to where we are today. And that's what's going to propel us right over across the finish line, which is nearer than everybody thinks.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I did have some comments about the current dip.
Let's talk about it.
We're on this little price dip, and I know it's always discouraging. People are like, oh, Bobby needs to put more money back into the coin to support the price. And but I know your business model, as you wrote out in the path to 16, is you go in, you nudge the price, you step back, you let the market decide, you go back and forth, and that's important. It's part of the free market choice. In fact, we had some people recently saying there's never any dips. Well, now there is one. And for the reason,
we gave an opportunity for a dip.
Buy on the dip, guys. That's right. But
no,
the other is that
you're really good for reminding people that we nudge and then we step back. Now, what's interesting is that a couple days I've been involved in the market at all in a couple days, and we've kind of settled out around 475, 480, 485. So maybe that's where the market wants the price to be right now. We don't know. We have to observe. What's interesting is that you remember that we can't do the next nudge unless and until we have an additional $15 million set aside for capital.
It's coming. We have to just raise it, and it's happening.
Ahead of schedule. So now we're stepping back a little bit. Now, here's the thing. If we could go back to the guys like the first 200, 300, 400 wallet holders, the really, really, really early guys, if we could go back to them and get them to take a whale pledge or do a lockup or something like that, we could take the market to 16 today. We could be at our February 2026 price, if not for a couple of the guys, couple of wallet holders that got on extremely early. I know who some of them are, but I don't know all of them. So what we're doing now is we're going through those lists and we're whale hunting. We're saying, hey, let's get you off the rocket, or let's exit half or 2/3 of your position. Once we remove, that excess liquidity and that remove that risk of somebody dumping, well, now we could motor on to 16 and be very comfortable there. So we're only a couple steps away, and this thing has been kind of like a beautiful orchestra symphony where we hear this one note and then there's another note over here from a different instrument, and these things are all kind of coming together just the right way, just the right time. And I'm very impressed. I'm very surprised at how well all of these things have contributed to each other's success, and none of them have shown any kind of limitations or stress or signs of failure. I can't really give you any specific examples right now without getting too deep into things that don't matter on a Thursday night. But the point is that, every one of the little what about this? What about that? What about that? All those things are coming through and shining now, and they're all complementing each other to make this thing continue to work. And so, yeah, we got a couple little mysteries and challenges left to solve, but we've got 60, 70 people now on the payroll that are working hard on delivering the results that we expected from the plan that we made. And we haven't changed the plan in any kind of fundamental way. It's been the same plan since, 84 weeks ago. And I expect the plan to continue to hold up and drive us right across the finish line.
I've really been impressed also about how you're meeting all the challenges of growth. It's so hard to keep up with and even anticipate exponential growth, but yet you're doing it. The exponential growth with regards to demand for the cold storage coin wallets, the fact that you were on a 6-week behind, but then you figured out how to ship those coins immediately and have people sign them up to their account, holding the coins in escrow to get caught up on that and fix that bottleneck. The way you adapt to the various challenges of the program and continue to make it scalable and more seamless as time goes on is, I think, extremely impressive. I was a writer, right? And to see you, work as a man of action and work through these things and make those changes in real time is just absolutely fascinating for me to watch. And I'm so tickled to be the guy who is now writing your coattails rather than be the guy who just wrote this huge newsletter
Not
back in the day.
My friend, not coattails.
No.
Look, there's no way I can do this without you guys. And I very much specifically mean you. Because look, we have to take this story and we have to spread the story and the message far and wide. And if you can't understand it and digest it and then present it in a way that people are going to be able to understand it, far, far away, then this thing doesn't scale. And you guys have done such an incredible job at sharing this message that I love dumping resources on you. We booked up all the money shows for 2026. You've got another one, I think, in Sarasota in a couple weeks.
Thank you so much
So
for that opportunity, Bobby. I can't tell you how honored we are to have been trusted with that. I'm so tickled pink to be able to go out there and deliver a speech and represent TextCoin. We in Sarasota, we have a speech that's going to be a good 45 minutes. Yeah. It's I'm really fascinated with that.
This thing is all about developing relationships with communities. You know, the reason we use this referral marketing type system is because, look, we're doing something in an industry that's full of scams. We're using a marketing strategy that's about as slimy as it gets. You know, when you take scammy and slimy, you get sleazy. And so the only people that are going to join us are people that hear from people that they like and trust. And so, you know, when we can go out there, whether it's in a survival community or a gun show community or a investor conference community, whatever it is, if we can show up again and again and again with a smile on our face, sharing the same story, people take us seriously. And so I want to find, you know, places where I connect great people like you and have you go out there and make friends in those communities and show them that we're serious about being successful and reaching our goals. Once they take us seriously, okay, I'm in. All right, I'll do it. I swore I would never get into a crypto project. You know those words. I know those words. There's still a lot of people out there that say those words. And so, how are we going to win them over? Well, first of all, we don't need them all. You know, if somebody is dead set against crypto, dead set against putting that money at risk, you know, I understand completely where they come from, and I don't blame them if they miss out. You know, all we can do is share our story and invite people to join us and let them make their own decision. But you know, when people see us and they see the passion and they see the energy and they see that we're you know not here for the quick buck, then they may be more willing to take that leap of faith. And that's why, you know, it's so important to find great people like yourselves and connect you with those communities where people want to hear it. I mean, those people go out to attend those events because they're looking for, you know, alternative opportunities. I went out to the first one, what was it, back in January with you guys, and people were selling parking garages. Here's a parking garage investment opportunity. What a great moneymaker. Okay, I've never heard of a parking garage investment opportunity, but it's 2025 and here we are. So, you know, they're looking for things a little bit off the beaten path, maybe because they're tired of being lied to from all the other guys. Maybe they're tired of riding the mainstream financial roller coaster. But when they can come out, they can look you in the eye, they can shake your hand, they can decide for themselves. If they think you're being honest with them, then you've got an opportunity to not just bring on a new miner, but to make a new friend. And that's what you guys have been doing really well.
Bobby, when we are at these money shows, people routinely tell us that our offering appears to be far and away the best of anything else at the show. Even the other guys in the other booths are like, oh my gosh, you guys have raised way more capital, and yet you guys are also providing way bigger returns than anything else we've seen. Your chart looks amazing. And so we began sharing the chart at the last money show. Unfortunately, the chart showed the run up to 7 and then it crashed down to 4. And people look at that and they're like, yeah, I'm just going to wait a little bit.
Womp, womp, womp.
You know, it was like
they
a
were
perfect
cheering
chart
for you,
until
now
that
they're
one
laughing
move.
at you. Well, here's the thing, man. Just remember,
over the hangover from the rise to 7. And I want to just share everybody the positivity. And that is, remember, before we ran to 7, okay, during the Thailand trip, we ran to that price from $2.80. 2 months ago, we were at $2.80. And now we're sitting at just below 5. This is not really a dip. If you look at the bottom, it's really still exponential growth. We just had exponential growth on top of our exponential growth, creating that price peak. But we're still doing phenomenally well by any measure.
And a lot of other professional traders out there are reading the charts like tea leaves and discovering the mysteries and making the predictions. Like I said, I know that you guys are paying attention to it. I know you're paying attention to it out there at home. I look at it too because it's exciting. And eventually, yes, that number will tell the story, but not yet. On this last Tuesday night call, I reminded people that the goal is to build this 100 million mega hash mine so that we can attract the attention of the mainstream crypto community. Okay, well, how far are we along towards that goal of $16? Well, we're like a third of the way there, let's say, right? Okay, well, we're pretty far along, 25, 35%. How far along are we on building the mine? Whoa, we're 1%. Installed, we're 1%. Now we've sold almost 20%, but we're only about 1% installed. Once we turn on Victoria and we turn on the 2 containers in Conroe and we find a home for the BC1 indoor unit, and the next 4 containers come and the 4 come after that, then we can go back to the crypto community and be like, see, we told you we were going to build the largest privately owned mine in the world in Texas. And then we can expect them to take us seriously. So we're still very, very, very early. We're doing great. The price is fun, but it's not going to be until later down the road that we really want the price to tell the story of the work that we've done. We want to do the work, have the price reflect it.
I love the new transparency on the website that you just added, whereby you say that total hash power sold and the total computers that we've actually purchased. That's absolutely brilliant to show that you're ahead, and then separating out the hash power that's actually online. Brilliant. You continually amaze with the increased transparency. And you even also did it with the pie chart about where how you took out the liquidity money, was separated from your what is it called? The
revenue.
The final revenue of the profit section. Again, you continually improve the transparency and everything. And it's so impressive. Thank you very much for keeping up with all that. It's a lot of work.
In the beginning, it was required. We didn't have anything else to go on, but hey, I'll just be upfront with you guys.
Always required. Like you say, it's what we got.
It is, but now it's become kind of like our mantra. It's like the thing you can count on from us. The Tuesday night calls, we get together, we go through it. It's not always good. We've got setbacks. Hey, we fired some people this week. These people, we told you that they were going to be awesome, and they let us all down. A couple weeks ago, I don't know if you remember, but I said, look, I fired these guys not because they weren't making progress, but because if I come here and I tell you, yeah, we're doing great, then it's like a double fraud. They're not getting the job done, and I'm wasting our money with trying to placate you guys with, this slow kick the can down the road drip of results. And so, this is what we got. This is our market competitive advantage. We really still don't have any competition, which is very nice and kind of shocking a little bit. But that's our main selling point today. When I bump into people out at events, what do you like the best about TexitCoin? Transparency. It's the only thing out there that gives you the real truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. That's it. And, in 2025, authenticity, they say, is the new coin of the realm.
Yeah, so vitally important. And I'm so glad that you've made that an absolute cornerstone of the project, because every time we get people in, they often tell us also, this project keeps getting better and better the more I look at it. And that's definitely been, our experience as well. You just continue to deliver on all fronts. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm having a great time. Like I mentioned, I've lived a great life. I consider this to be my life's work. And it's really great. It's like the greatest thing for an entrepreneur to see that their idea, that you're sketched out on a napkin, actually manifests into a successful business. I don't like to think of myself as an entrepreneur. I like to think of myself as a business owner. A business owner is an entrepreneur that was successful. It's like, well, what do you do? Well, I run TexitCoin. Well, aren't you like a serial entrepreneur? No, I'm a guy that took the idea, sketched it out, and then brought it to life. And, the big difference between times old and new is profitability. When you have something that's profitable, you can run the business well. And so now transparency is easy. Transparency in the early days was tough because we were kind of running on fumes for a while. And now transparency is really easy. It's like, hey guys, I bought another supercar to give away. Here's the receipt. You guys, what are you guys driving now?
Thank you.
Mercedes GLC 300.
It's so nice.
Sweet.
I spent $4 million on cars in the last 2 months to give out to our top producers and performers. Why? Because the cars work. The rolling billboards, people see you well dressed, getting out of a nice, clean car, and they go, "What are you doing?" TexitCoin. It's what happens when honest money meets cryptocurrency. Made in Texas for the world. I've seen those ads everywhere. I've been wanting to learn more. They work, right? And so now we can do really cool stuff. We can be transparent and upfront about it. And it all just helps, our mission get bigger and bigger every day.
Yeah.
Any final words? What else do we have?
Final words of wisdom. Okay, so the crowds and crowd psychology. Everybody always wants to buy at the top, and that's what creates the top. And everybody always wants to sell at the bottom, and that's what creates the bottom until the price starts to move back up. And then people are like, oh, wait, it's not the bottom anymore. And then people start to go, oh my gosh, I have to buy now because the bottom's not going to come back. It's just market psychology. We'll work through it.
Well, we got FOMO, we got FUD, we got ape, we got diamond hands. I mean, this industry has cooked up a lot of lingo. And again, the as well as I do that people love to buy gold and silver when the price is going up, and they love to sell it when the price is dropping. So I don't have any words of encouragement for new miners. What do you do? Do you buy? Do you sell? Do you hold? Like, what's the strategy? I encourage people to sell anytime you have an opportunity to make your life better with the cash. If you can cash out a couple handfuls of coins, whether the market's high or low, and pay off some debt or go fishing with your kids or grandkids, or get that addition done on that. Like, if you have an opportunity to make your life better from the work that we've done together, then go for it. Anytime, now or later, hot or cold, up or down. It does not matter. I also encourage people to close the loop, as I call it. You put your money in, you start mining, you figure out how to use your hot wallet, you move some coins over to DexTrade, you sell some, and you put some cash back in your bank account. And once you've gone through that entire cycle, that entire process, now you've made it real. You've taught yourself all the different steps that you need to take in order to turn this thing back into, real old-fashioned dollar money. And so, you can do those things now, and then you can decide to buy back in some couple dollars worth later if you want. And so, to the greatest extent possible, I would tell our friends listening not to pay too much attention to the price, because again, the price is always going to be the result of our hard work and success, and we're not there yet. So to have an expectation for the price to be somewhere specific today doesn't make sense. We're on our way. We'd like you to have a seat on the rocket ship. We'd like you to have a couple handfuls of coins so that when that day comes, you're prepared for it. But today, we're still getting started. We're still building our community. We're still crowdsourcing the resources we need to build the mine. And we're still working on, breaking into the dirt and getting these things set up so that we can show to the world that we're the guys that actually followed through, not because we did this to get rich, but because we did this to make the money real.
Right. That's right. That's absolutely right. We probably are discovering that we are more miserly than perhaps we should be, and so we appreciate the supercar. And we're frugal.
Miserly.
Maybe I was a little bit on the miserly side.
You guys have a very nice, very clean, very reasonable Mercedes.
Feels like a supercar to me, man.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you,
brand new. Everyone loves a nice new car. We were supposed to give away 34. We gave away 38. So we awarded 38 or maybe 39 winners. The people that were overseas got cash instead, so they go out and lease their own cars. But that's the kind of thing that we're doing to create excitement, right? We've got something fun. It's different than the Bitcoin roller coaster. If you want to jump in and buy Bitcoin today, it's 100 grand, 101, 102. The price will go up, the price will go down. There's not a thing that you can do to affect the price of Bitcoin going that way or that way. But if you jump onto the TexitCoin rocket ship and you help spread our story, you share our story, you share the vision, you invite other people to join us, you will have a direct impact on our ability to reach our goals, which eventually has a direct connection with the price of the coin on the open market.
Yeah, that's right.
Thursday night, we've been here an hour. It's time to say goodnight. I'm already in bed.
That's great.
Thanks for having us on, Bobby.
Thanks for having us on, Bobby.
You guys are great. Thanks for all the hard work. Thanks for taking the risk with me.
Yes.
I won't share the story about us meeting at the restaurant. We'll keep that personal and private for now. But I'm really proud of you guys. Jennifer, I don't know if you mentioned that I invited you to come and work at the office as my assistant.
No, I did not mention, but
And
yes.
about 2 weeks in, I said, that's a bad idea. These guys are really great. They're always smiling. They're always happy. I need you guys out there being ambassadors and sharing our story. I don't want you stuck in this office. Go out, go be. And I think you'll do a lot better out there. And I think that you have done a lot better financially.
She got a raise when you kicked her out of the office.
Doing it too. So thank you for the gift of time. Thank you for all the things.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
Thank you for the dream come true, Bobby.
Yeah.
You guys are great. Thanks again. Have a wonderful night. Thanks to the 200 plus people that join us on a Thursday night call.
Yeah. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
What do we got this weekend? We got Tampa this weekend, and then we've got
we are going to be at the Children's Health Defense Conference in Austin. Rand Paul will be there along with Andy Wakefield.
Maybe RFK.
RFK Jr. may be there. His wife will be there as a speaker.
Cheryl
Hines. Several very influential politicians will be there.
You mentioned Brian Artis.
I don't know that they're going to be there.
Oh, they might not. Okay.
What day is that? I'm sorry.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Austin.
Tomorrow, the next day, the next day?
Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow morning. Yeah.
So we'll have the booth and everything.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. Enjoy your Thursday night, and I'll connect with you guys again soon.
Thanks, Bobby. We'll give you a report from the show.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Good
night, guys.
Good night.
Okay, so that was Bobby Gray with some special guests doing the presentation for TexitCoin. If you want to learn more, visit texitaustralia.com. So I'm Rob in Australia. Thanks for watching, and that's all for now. Goodbye.